ya emo si vele go lonsa ke tseba gore go ga se vele go la Steven ba tšea se mamatelo ke ladies Moeng ladies malatši ke malatši wa sekgolele sa gare ka patšeng le gore ke motsana wa go namela ga re ya go namela fela le badimo le re kgonne ke batho ba kgopempe kgopela šitaki ya molapo mokgwa molapo le ya o tseba ba šitaki ya molapo mara ya mero ba tholla ke batho ba tswang ka nako a kgole-kgole kua Phalaborwa la Noto ke batho ba tswang kua Bofake kua Bofaka Marole ke senatelo sa bo badinere sa bo papa ka go badimo ke moedi ke monako ke motho a šokanang kolomoto e tswang madi sa tlhabiwa ke motho ba malekanya morwalo wa e mogolo le e menyana o lekang ke motho wa mphuta diatla ke motho a tlhabanang ka dithaka maruma ba ka sollo ke motho ya tswang ka nako a kgole-kgole ka nako ba Phalaborwa ba tswang gona ke motho ya tswang ka nako wa Bofake sa bobedi ke motho ya e leng gore o ka ke go diagalenyana e sentane jang seganeyang le beng wa ngaka ka fela mpitsang ka sa tšhelo ba mpitseng le ga sepela ka mmono go nna o sepela jang ke thiba tsela mme ke maka tsona gate le seata ke sa setšhiba bana ba rune kgale ge e le masogana ge ba sa dule ka gare ga lapa ge ba dula ka kgorong ba tsea molao ka kua kgorong ba setsana ba le ka lapeng le bona ba tsea molao ge ngwana a iya bogadi ge ka bogadi di mošita ga sa ka bogadi di mošitile a kgona go tloga ya ga meagelana e sele ka go tsa meagelana gore ka rena le bothata a re ngwanaka le ge o na le bothata o sa be e taba ya go tloga ga e ya sejalealo ke ya kgale ke mo ba le bita la mosadi le ba bogadimo le bita la monna le bathoko ba tsela ka gore monna ke thoke wa nama ke selepe ge mongwana a rema a beya le ene wa tsela wele maegang ke senya ke rialo amen.
Okay, she's going to repeat it again and break it by beat by beat. Okay?
Amen. Torel. Hallelujah. Amen. Ya yemerimbo. Kana ika sile gore ke malatsi wa sekgolele sa Marikapadi ke malatsi wa sekgolele sa Marikapadi uniform ke O ka re ke tswa go la ke ka mo re toropo ya rone re tswa go le toropo ke na ke re nna ya eno ke malaji wa Sekgobela.
I am Malaji Sekgobela.
Sa ba reka padi le fo.
In their clan, they praise dacha and cigarettes.
Ki motana a khonane. Ari a khonane fela le ba dimong.
They normally remove their teeth. They don't remove their teeth only for us. They remove their teeth also for their ancestors.
Re motho wa seolo se fofa botshetse.
We praise hills.
Re motho wa seolo se fofa botshetse. Sa fofa dintha se a ila.
Hills that keeps out insects, those insects that we eat in our traditional, as our traditional food. Yes, if that hill pops out those insects, it's a sign showing that something bad is going to happen. We strongly believe in black clouds. If the clouds become black, we know that it's going to rain.
Thank you. Ngale thaile la thaile. Ke maharo wa le ka mona tlo ba la thaile le thaile. Ba jela ba re ka dinte la dinte. Ka dinte la ka ba mara mabo. Ka ga go ja le nana ka mabo. Tere ba re no la to wa dishi. Nam ti aga na ga re.
Riddle. Okay. I went to the chief's place. Then I found the chief and his associates. One of his children, they were fighting. They were having an argument. I came along. I gave them a solution to their problem. The way that the king was excited, he gave me a cow. And that cow was a pregnant cow. I ate that cow together with the monkeys. Riddle.
Thank you. I did not have to keep time. I think we're all enjoying the presentation. You know, songs, storytelling, riddles, and games are very much part of our culture, and they form a repertoire of literacies that our learners bring to the school environment. And I think it's important for us to, to embrace, to value, right, those indigenous knowledge systems, in order to be more inclusive, in our education system. Okay, all right. Any comments, questions? Maybe we have more Sibeli speaking people in the room who can maybe, clarify some of the things and just comment and help us understand better maybe. I had something about Basezana, but I didn't get into the interpretation, I thought that was maybe some teaching about how young girls should conduct themselves. I'm not sure if I was hearing properly. I'm also speaking, so my Sibeli is not that good. Okay, I see there's a hand up. Yes, ma'am?
My name is Kuchus Nyansi. Mme Moeng to the comment I want to make, what she said about the young girls and how they used to see it, and the young men how they used to see it. It's more like how young people were taught how to behave, you see. And I think it's one of the things that kept young people young, and one of the reasons we would have old people now because of all these things that contributed. If you look at us now, we are just mixed in every way. I can lose my husband today and then marry another man tomorrow. And then there will be things that happen in that marriage that no Western medicine or explanation can reach. But when you go back to culture, you will understand why this has to happen like that. In marriages also, she made a comment about marriage. A lot of times we divorce over nothing really. Because it starts with maybe negotiations. We are told once you are paid lobola, you can go sign and do what. But there are some traditional procedures or cultural procedures that we often ignore. And then if you did not sign, you might not be recognized as a wife should you lose your husband. We've seen that with WHP's wife. Somewhere, somehow, we are losing all these things that can back us up. And I think with what she said about marriage, those who are into African psychology, should you get a psychologist or a marriage counselor who's like that, then you'll see that some of the things that are really concentrated in your marriage are like too small to have been that big, you see. But when I look at us these days, we don't really consider elders. And instead of appreciating their role, we often mention that times have moved. But really, you can lose a lot out of not honoring your own identity and your own culture. And honoring this part about culture does not mean you are worshipping the devil or something. No. You are just honoring things that set your soul free. Just like those who believe in Madozi, or those who are, in my language we call it Opasa. I'll give a classic example of a famous person. Those who remember Jabugule, one of us fame. Do you guys remember how his life was before he married the wife he's with? He was like all over. He lost a big contract in a big club. But what solved this problem? Going back to his identity and acknowledging his father's side of the ancestors. Now he's back on track. He even has a wife and family kids and stuff, you see. So I appreciate this so much. I just believe and I wish young people can give these simple practices a space in their lives. Also in education also. I cannot learn if I do not understand the language that I'm using. And if I'm learning in a certain language, I would have to be fluent in that language or understand my own language better to be able to adapt, you see. This will be the case with a lecturer who does not speak the student's mother tongue. There's always that gap. And those who are in health communication, if you look at aspects like respect in young interns, those who are placed in rural areas where no one speaks their language, it becomes quite an issue to convey respect to the elders in that language. Because even if you try with, okay, ma, or there might be a mistake that you make in giving them direction on how to use their medication, you see, and then it changes the whole communication dynamic. Overall, I was just appreciating what she said in every possible way. Thank you.
Thank you for summing that up so well. Are there any more comments?
Yes, I just wanted to say that when she was saying something there, it was that boys had a place. She said they went to Khoro. That's where they would sit and with the elderly and be taught how a man should behave. Same with the girls at home, where they would be taught a whole lot of things, how to handle themselves outside, and even how to handle yourself if you are ready to be married. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that input. I can see more hands going up.
Thank you very much. For me, I took the address from a pedagogical point of view, where we meet students, and from a translanguaging point of view, we have to utilize students' language practices. And these are the language practices whereby they are enculturated into storytelling. Remember, there was a story, the singing of going to the chief, and I helped the chief. And this is how our students have been taught as they were growing up. So when in our teaching, we might need to consider such things, because when they write because they use those language practices. And for us, what we want is a topic sentence, a supporting idea, and a concluding statement. But remember, they were taught to go around, and we need to understand that and take it into consideration in our teaching, just the way she has presented it.
Wonderful, thank you. I think that echoes Prof's presentation yesterday about cultural practices and how we can manage those with academic practices.
Thank you. Really for the poem. I did not get a lot of what she said because I'm from a Sisulu background, but through translations I got some understanding of what she was talking about. But what I want to emphasize is that oral literacy is still a value for our African children, especially because a child who, for example, who grew in a homestead from who May comes from, the child will bring those values into the classroom. And then the Western education, it disconnects what the child brings from home and what the schools expect from the child. So I learned that when the woman helped the chief, and the chief, we are more again the home. That is a point in our culture. That is very much of the richness of our cultures. Some of our could offer us of those cultures and the values. Thank you.
One of the stories I learned from Mme Moeng outside of what she said here was about when you have the culprit in the village. Instead of going to that individual and saying you have committed this issue, this problem, what they will do, they will go to the house, compose a song, and then leave without telling the individual that this is what you have done and you don't like it. So what that tells us is that the reader, the hearer, is far more responsible to figuring out what the speaker is saying. And this is where we say ways of knowing in African traditions, African languages, are different from ways of knowing that are espoused by English. In English, Biba is talking about topic sentence. That's very strange. But here there's a value, even as she was talking, there was nothing direct. You have to get outside of the words she says to figure out meaning. And that's part of what we call the epistemological pathway, where they say when they learn through the medium of English, the language they don't know, there is epistemic injustice because circumlocution and being very indirect is a way of knowing which is normally not recognized or undermined by the curriculum, the expectation of,
Ways with words. Thank you. Just to pick up on what Professor Makalila has said, you will notice that when she was presenting and she was asked to break it down into smaller pieces, she couldn't continue in that mode because ways of knowing, ways of thinking, ways of acting are different. So she was being put in ways of thinking of another culture. And it couldn't work. So she sang. And so she went back to her ways of acting and ways of thinking. Because for a poem, it has to flow. And that's the essence of it. And that's the African epistemology. What ontologies? What constitutes knowledge? The African way. It's what she was saying in that poem, indirectly, as Professor Makalila is saying. That's knowledge to us. And if our ways of thinking is African, then we will know what she's saying, and we will understand the message very well. When she talks about praising marijuana, we will understand what she is saying, and will not put it in the current context where it's a business that destroys people. People had used marijuana, many cultures had used it for many years, and it never destroyed anyone. So there was a way of acting with your environment. That's why they praise mountains, they praise hills, they praise the environment. So what constitutes knowledge? Our own ontologies and our own epistemological things. These are the ways that we need to bring back into the curriculum and make meaning out of them. Thank you. I enjoyed it very much, Mme Moeng.
Thank you, Professor. There's another hand up.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I think this has been a very fruitful lesson for me because it brought me to, so currently I'm a teacher at high school and I teach grade 9 technology. So this links to something very fruitful that happened in my class recently. So learners had to present for technology, and obviously this one learner was so intimidated of having to present in English. So I encouraged that he does it in Zulu. So I think the sad reality is that kids are so accustomed to the fact that English has power. So when this learner wanted to present in Zulu, everyone laughed at him because they thought that he's not literate enough. And I think that's very sad. So I think it starts with us as teachers to actually start having learners see that there's power in indigenous languages. And so I gave them a whole big lecture on the fact that they can't see or should not see Zulu or whatever their language, home language is, as not as literate as English is. So I think it starts with us as teachers in the classroom and what we see as powerful. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you for that point.
Thank you very much. My comment is I've really learned something, and I would say maybe now is the time for the learning institutions such as universities to actually go to the communities so that this kind of knowledge is captured in its raw state. You would agree with me that language carries culture, culture carries language, and if we are to go get it from the community in its raw form, if she is to perform that with the right regalia, right environment and atmosphere, without this one, which I would say is sort of stage managed, I believe it will be important, and it will help a lot in this theme of us thriving in a multilingual world. And maybe we should do more to use these uncertificated people by capturing them using probably a video, knowing that these days people are into technology more than anything, because we are saying if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book. So if we are to write these things and probably not use videos, we are going to lose them, because life does not belong to us. She's aging. Very soon she won't be with us. We would have lost. It's a library which is going to be shut down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more questions or comments? We still have a bit of time. All right, I think we can all agree that Mme Moeng is an inspiration. You know, it's a very powerful statement, I think, to make, to invite her to this kind of a conference, to give her this kind of platform. I think she's a good example of what we theorize about, but now seeing it, you know, in action, you know, in practice, I think it makes so much sense to all of us. Okay, I think Tatiana has something to say.
Can we ask her how she felt about being here and presenting in front of all of us?
To translate, okay.
o tsena ga ba ka gae ka re so ka nna le mo shire bana ba ka go tela go mara o tshwanetse o tshile gore monna ke thoke o ana monna a ya ge le goba monna a mete le go tsaya mosadi monna a botsise go nna ke nako manye mona o thola mmuso o bemo ka nako ya kenang ka yona maafoko ga a sa a mara o ntse ka go mmuso what is the guys monna a ka tsaya phenela mara wena o ntoši o na le sediki o na le bana ba re mmame o na le bo matsala a go ba makoti se sengwe monna a sediki ka le tlhama tsa ka go tsontse gore ba go lebelele ka mona a go lebelele go ba teng a nto ba fa tie ke ela wa teng ya gore le ditla le tsogana le ba ka ba mo shota mara wa tšiwa go monna ke thoke wana
She was giving us solutions on when we are facing marital problems, because usually we do things in a modern way. When your husband comes back home late, don't ask him where he's coming from. And when you choose to marry another woman, don't deprive him that opportunity. Such things. I can't go on because of time.
Oh, reload. Che qualche giorno di ma che c'ha la gara di più buono. Ma che chiamo di una fita. La che chiama plane. Chi va a dire ma mi sarà una plane che chiama
She's extremely happy with her presence of being here. She'll also tell them at home how happy and how the experience was, the whole experience here. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mme Moeng. Relebogile haholo. We thank you very much. Siyabulela kakhulu enkosi. Nanga-ke uThixo angakubeka akugcine agcine nezulwana. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 3 o'clock. I think that gives us time to move to the next. Okay, this will have 10 minutes or so to move to the breakaway sessions for the afternoon session. But before we go, we would like to give a gift to Mme Moeng. May kupa utlebile happy. So that we shall Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think that brings us to the end of our session.